Good afternoon. Now I have been very lucky today and I finally managed to bag myself a double Amazon Flex Morrisons shift. Two 1.5 hour blocks, the second one starting half an hour after the first one, allowing ample time to get back if the block does indeed take me that long. So yeah, 3 hours of delivering Morrisons with Amazon today, paying a total of £57. Now, if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you know I'm a big fan of these Morrisons blocks. Still to this day, my favorite gig work job you can pick up. I think they're easy. I think they're pretty well paid for what you do. It is a shame that the 2 hour blocks are a little bit more difficult to come by now. Used to be that you could easily get a 1.5 and then a 2 hour straight after. Same start time as I've got today for the second one, 3:45, but it would go on until 5:45 instead of 5:15, and that used to be every single day that one would come up. The pay was slightly lower when that was the case. It was before the whenever the last little pay increase Amazon did for this area, but it's fine. I don't mind. At the end of the day, it only works out about £4 less, and you're working for half an hour less, so it is a net gain on the hourly rate, which is good. But yeah, I'm just excited to have two back-to-back Morrisons blocks again. It's been a little while. They're very, very popular. I've had several occasions over the last few days where I'll see a Taunton Morrisons block pop up, I'll go to accept it, and it's gone. Someone got there before me, and that's happened an annoying amount recently. Now, could I be up against people using bots? Possibly. Am I going to get myself worked up and annoyed about it if they are? No. Nothing I can do about it. Amazon say that they ban people using them, but I'm not entirely convinced they do. By the way, it doesn't matter today. I've got the two blocks. I'm very happy about it. Yeah, we are on our way to our first drop. We're on block number 1. I left Morrisons about 10 minutes ago, and this first block is a good one. We've only got 7 bags in total, and we only have 2 drops. Now, there is a bit of distance. They're both in Netherstowe. They're quite close to each other, but the distance to Netherstowe is about 15 miles, at least the way I'm choosing to go. Can go directly up north from Taunton and go through the back roads towards Bridgewater Way, which I normally would do, but I've been that way in quite a few videos in the past. There's a lot of kind of stopping and waiting for oncoming traffic and single track roads and that sort of thing. So I thought I'd mix it up and take the A358 today. This A road links Minehead and Willerton, Watchet with Taunton. And where we leave this A road to head towards Netherstowe, there's some nice views, and I just thought it would be nice to go that way today. So yeah, feeling good about this first block. Besides the distance, you know, slightly long on the mileage, but only 2 drops. The 2 drops are pretty close together. I think we're going to get back to Taunton with plenty of time left. As always, we'll track the mileage, we'll track the time spent on both blocks, work out our overall profit at the end of this little double whammy. We're now heading through Crocombe and then through the Quantock Hills to get to Netherstowe. By far the most fun way to come for this destination. Well, I wonder how far this lorry in front is going to be on the same route as us, because we're going to get to a very long and steep incline in a minute. I don't particularly want to be stuck behind it if it is going that way. I can't see why it would be. I would imagine it's going somewhere in Crocombe. Let's hope so. Yes, my instincts were correct. Not, is he reversing? Don't think he's reversing, bud. He wants you to just go past if he is. This car is unsure about what to do. You can definitely fit through there, mate. We were just a little bit hesitant. Didn't know if he was going to be reversing. What's going on? Having a little chat with the postman. Not sure what that was about. Yeah, Crocombe Hill Road. Here we go. This is the fun bit. There are parts of this hill where even I need to get into first gear. Trick is just to try and maintain some speed. Oh, there go my ears. I don't know if the incline gets caught on camera very well, but this is steep. So steep. Can you hear the engine? First gear it is. Try and stay in second now. My poor little 1.2 litre engine doesn't like hills like this. Sorry, mate. I know I put you through a lot. I appreciate the valiant effort. Poor little Micro's absolutely screaming up this hill. Here we go, first gear again. Whoa! Here we go. Quantock Common, Quantock Hills, not sure what this bit is. But this is such a cool road. It's a little bit annoying when you've got oncoming traffic, but there are plenty of passing areas. Some leftover puddles from the recent floods. I say floods, certain areas flooded. My area was just about all right. Hey, we got some sheep. You've got to be careful, like you don't want them to run out in the road. Yeah, I didn't need to come this way. It's just nice to mix it up every now and then, isn't it? It only added 4 minutes on to what was a half-an-hour drive anyway. So I thought, why not? Let's go the nice way. I just love driving in places like this. It would be nice if I could park up, get out, have a little walk around, obviously, but even just driving through it as part of work, it's nice. And you don't get this with food delivery. Well, actually, you might do now with with Uber's long distance orders. God knows where you might end up being taken to. There we go, there's a nice view. Look at that. Somerset is such a lovely place. Unless you're in Bridgewater. But with that little excursion through the Quantock Hills, we're pretty much in Nether Stowey, where we'll be making both of our drops and then promptly heading back Taunton Way. Let's get ourselves started on block number 2. We'd have to be extremely fortunate to have another block straight after just as easy, but that's fine. I don't really mind as long as one out of the two is relatively straightforward. You're going to end up with a decent rate of pay once you've done them both. I wonder when my ears are going to unpop themselves because I almost cannot hear myself talk. Alrighty then, let's get this first drop done. Hello, right, should I just chuck it here? Yeah. It's all yours. Thanks, mate. All right, nice easy drop. Gotta say, I really do enjoy these straightforward blocks. No issues with loading, no issues with parking. You're not being asked to do too much within the time of your block. Yeah, it's just nice. Nice to get a nice easy start to this double header. In my experience, the 345 block tends to be a little bit more hectic than the 145 block. At least, you know, just anecdotally to me, it does seem like they're the blocks where I get given the most bags, I cover the most distance, but that could just be down to the fact that traffic is heavier during that second block, being closer to rush hour, so it could all just be in my head. But yeah, we'll see what we end up getting for the next block. Be interesting to see how it compares to this one. Not going to complain too much whatever happens on the next route because we've had a pretty good one to get going with today, so no complaints from me, which I'm sure many of you are glad about. I know amongst some of you I've got a reputation of being a bit of a moaner, and look, I get it. I get it. I rant, I complain sometimes about bad blocks, or even just normal blocks, and I start getting frustrated, but I'm trying to be more positive. There is, however, only so far I can go with that. I'm always going to be honest in these videos whilst I'm out on these blocks. You get my raw emotion in the moment, but yeah, I hear ya. I'll try and complain a little bit less, but when it's justified, you bet I'm still going to do it. Right then, we are approaching our final drop just up here on the right. You just have to leave it here. Not getting an answer. There are 2 cars here though. All right, that's that one done. So yeah, that was a nice straightforward block. I think I possibly underestimated timings and everything, seeing as Apple Maps is going to have us back at Morrisons at 20 past 3. I thought we might actually get back within the time of the block. Obviously, that's always a bonus anyway. That's not what Amazon guarantee. For those who don't know, Amazon, when they're doing their block timings, it aims to have you finish your deliveries within the time period that you're working. It does not mean that you're guaranteed to get back to where you started by the end time. They very much view your commute back as on your own time and unpaid, which I've spoken about in the past about how I don't particularly like, but I will say that the hourly rate you tend to get from Amazon Flex kind of makes up for that. Certainly more than long distance food delivery drops, Uber Eats. But yeah, so in terms of that, we finished at about 10 to 3, so about 25 minutes before the end of the block, and now I need to, oh god, try and eke my way out onto this road. Oh, that's not very nice, is it? Nice blind junction onto an A road. But yeah, we finished that block in good time. Got a half an hour drive back, but it's all good. I still think we're going to do all right. I'm going to go back the slightly more boring way so we can maximise our hourly rate, at least by the specific Amazon timings for these blocks. I'll mark down the time I get back to Morrisons, but ultimately I'm going to be starting my second block at the same time regardless, and I'm not going to have enough time to squeeze in a food delivery job, most likely. So end result is the same. All right, I'll see you back at Morrisons for block number 2. All right, slight issue. The way back is completely flooded. I didn't have my camera filming at the time, but there was no way I was getting through. It was a good 100-yard stretch of road where it was very difficult to tell how deep the water really was, so I just wasn't going to risk it. And I'm not going to risk taking any of the other lanes that could eventually bring me out where I want to be, because they could all have exactly the same issue. It's just not been long enough since the storm at the weekend for a lot of these tricky roads to clear completely, so I'm glad I didn't come this way at the start of the block. This is the way that by default the maps would have taken you, because it's technically the fastest and the shortest in terms of miles. So I'm going to head back just to be extra safe. I'm going to be pushing it time-wise, I really am, but I don't see what else I can do. It's either take the risk of a different set of country lanes and hope that they're not flooded, or take the risk on time going a way that you know isn't flooded. We're going to have to go with the latter. And hopefully, if worse comes to worse and I do end up getting back too late to start the block, hopefully if it's not too far past the time, I can call Amazon and get them to clock me in and just explain I was delayed because of flooded roads. They're normally pretty good. If you're a few minutes late, they'll clock you in for you. All right, my method of attack is going to be, we're just going to go back the way we came, go through the Quantock hills, because I'm guessing if this was only 4 minutes extra the way here, it's got to be the same on the way back, right? The time on my maps isn't accurate, by the way, for getting back to Morrisons. I marked the map in Crocombe just so I could get the directions to find this road again, which I've done now. So the second I get an opportunity, I'll set the directions up to take me to Morrisons and see what time it says we're going to get there, because we're going to be pushing it. I know we're going to be pushing it. But yeah, like I said, hopefully in the case that we do get there a bit late, shouldn't have any trouble getting on with the block, as long as someone from Amazon support can just clock us in for us. If you miss your 20-minute clock in window, the button literally disappears. You can't check in. I don't know what the case is with logistics blocks. I've never been late to a logistics block, and I think it works slightly differently. I think the staff there can actually do it. Yeah, I think the marshals can check you in. I could be wrong on that. I've read that somewhere. But with the Morrisons blocks, obviously it's completely self-service. There are no Amazon marshals there. You just got to ring support, and most of the time they're pretty happy to check you in. I'd imagine, you know, they wouldn't be so happy if you did it every block you had, but if it's once in a while, I've certainly never had an issue getting them to check me in for me when I've been a few minutes late. So yeah, hopefully we can just do that again if we need to. I haven't done it in months and months and months, so presumably they would be fine with me doing that. But yeah, if we're going to get to where I've marked on the A358 at that time, I think we'll be okay, because that will give us 23 minutes from there to Morrisons, and off the top of my head, I think we'll be within that just. I really wasn't expecting those lanes to be flooded 3 days after the rain. There was a little bit of rain last night, but that wouldn't have caused that flood. That would have been from the weekend. And it still hasn't drained away. At least going this way, we get to go down that massive hill rather than up it. All right, we did safely get back onto the A358. We're basically going back the same way we came now. Probably should have just done this from the beginning, but yeah, you live and learn. And thankfully, we're going to be getting back to Morrisons, according to Apple Maps, with 3 minutes to spare to check into our block, which is good news. I won't have to waste any time on calling support. So yeah, whew, crisis averted. All right, here we are, 2 minutes to spare. That was a lot more eventful than I planned that trip back to be, but I won't let it dampen my spirits. Like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't really make a difference. When you've got 2 blocks, you've got to wait to start the second one anyway, unless you really finish early with like enough time to switch on Uber or Deliveroo and do some jobs that way whilst you're waiting, but that doesn't happen most of the time. We've only gone and done it again. 2 bags to pick up, 1 drop. It's got a little bit of distance, but this is definitely an easy one. Right, I'm gonna go and pick up these 2 bags and we'll get on our way. Yeah, we've had a good roll of the dice today. 2 drops for the first block, and then 1 drop for this one. Can't really ask for much more than that with a Morrisons block. I mean, they're already some of the best paying gig jobs you can take. I know that what I should probably be focusing on is the total mileage rather than how many drops I'm doing, because that's kind of besides the point, right? The number of drops that I do doesn't affect the pay, but the mileage does. But for me, right, I would rather drive 20 miles to deliver one order with like a couple of bags than deliver 29 bags over like 5 drops within 2 miles. I know I would make more money in the same amount of time doing the 29 bag job with less mileage because I'm driving less, using less fuel, but it is more work. You're stopping the car, finding places to park, unloading the bags. The loading process is a lot more faff, especially if you've got a full car. If you've got a full 29 bag job, pretty much guaranteed you're going to need to do 2 runs into Morrisons and get half of the bags each time. Come out to the car, load them in, go back in, get the rest. And whilst generally that is accounted for in the block time, sometimes I just want to sit back, drive my car, do a drop or 2. I don't particularly care about the mileage unless it really is excessive, but with Morrisons you don't generally go much further than I'm going now. Sometimes you do. I've had some that are about 20 miles there, and then obviously you've got the drive back, but for the most part I'll take less drops and less bags over a few less miles any day. The only thing that's going to slow us down now is a little bit of rush hour, just heading towards the motorway. But it shouldn't take too long to clear. I was hopeful perhaps that I was going to get a car park block. Didn't quite happen. I'm quite happy with 1 drop. That's like the next best thing, right? And I did wonder until the other day if Amazon had finally sorted out paying people to sit in the Morrisons car park instead of actually doing deliveries, because it always struck me as kind of weird that Amazon, one of the world's biggest companies, couldn't effectively plan their delivery blocks so that everyone has got something to do. Yeah, on this occasion, getting paid to do 1 delivery. We are heading to, don't really know how to say it, Mulchaney? God knows. Some very small village by Langport. Mind you, right, if Amazon do take traffic into account, that could explain why I've only got this 1 drop. Because on account of this traffic, I'm arriving there at 4:45, which is only half an hour before the end of my block, and then getting back. I know that isn't taken into account technically, but there was another order on the shelf in Morrisons when I picked this one up, and it seemed odd to me that I wasn't just taking the 2 remaining orders that were left. I can only assume this is why, because I wouldn't have time. Yeah, this road, by the way, a couple of videos ago, it was the one where I did one of my first Uber Eats long distance orders at the end, and it didn't go very well. I came down this road and I said, oh, it's going to be really busy, it's going to slow us down, and it was completely free flowing. This is what it's normally like, and it all filters into 1 lane up there. See a nice big queue over there waiting for us. So perhaps Amazon Flex do take into account traffic. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be my best paying Morrisons back-to-back that I've done. It possibly had the potential, but yeah, I think this traffic is going to kill it, plus getting stuck on the way back from the last one. We're finally almost through the worst of the traffic now, and we're well on our way to this last drop. I must say, I don't think I've ever done a double header of Morrisons blocks in one day where I've only done 3 drops and 9 bags of shopping in total. A very, very light load today, at least in terms of the items. Not so much in terms of the mileage. I guess that's where Amazon have made up their money. Can't have light without dark, as they say. All right.
Thanks very much.
That's all right, that's the heavy one. Oh, there's that one as well.
Great, thank you.
All right, take care. Cheers. And that's us, done. All right, let's break these numbers down. The results are in. Now, I think I've been slightly duped by how easy those 2 blocks were in terms of the number of bags I had and the number of drops, and I failed to adequately consider how much of a dent that the mileage of these 2 blocks was going to put into my profit. So despite me being very happy with the blocks I was given in terms of what they involved me doing, very few drops, very few bags to worry about loading and unloading, I've factored in the mileage and the time back to Morrisons from here as well. Whilst we did get this drop done 27 minutes before the end of the block, it's 36 back to Morrisons. And because of the kerfuffle we had getting back from the first block, running into that flooded road, so I had to turn back and go back the way that I came originally. We ended up getting back to Morrisons right in time to start our second one. So basically we did one long block. There's no time in the middle to cut out. So for these 2 blocks, I actually only made £12.69 an hour, which is remarkably low. But yeah, I've got 55.5 miles on the odometer, and adding the 15 miles that it is back to Morrisons from here, we did over 70 miles altogether, which cost me about £10, even with the relatively low fuel prices at the minute. Our 2 blocks added together were 3 hours, right? 2 1.5 hour blocks. Another thing, obviously, I include in this calculation the drive back from the last drop back to Morrisons. And because of that, and the fact that we had high mileage routes today and we ended up quite far away both times, that's really gone against us. So yeah, we've ended up with a pretty rubbish hourly rate for this job anyway. I probably would have expected to make that on a reasonable shift doing food delivery at this time of day, which is saying something, because normally Amazon smashes food delivery out of the park when it comes to pay. So whilst I enjoyed the blocks, they were easy, they were quite relaxing, ultimately it comes down to distance. I know I say I prefer longer distance, less drops. Maybe my mind is going to be changed a little bit after this, because I'm quite disappointed with that hourly rate, and I probably would have preferred a slightly more hectic delivery block with more drops but much less mileage, and we could have probably got that up to £16-17 an hour. It's just a shame we kind of fumbled that initial drive back for the second block. That added time, that added mileage, so maybe without that we could have pushed maybe up to £14 an hour. I'm not sure, but either way, £12.69 an hour is fine on the odd occasion that it happens. I'll just hope for better luck next time, I guess. Still, I've enjoyed having 2 back-to-back Morrisons blocks again. It's been a while. Hopefully this happens more often. I really like making these videos. It is still my favourite gig job to do, so let me know in the comments if you like these. Thanks for watching as always, guys. Good to have you with me. I'll catch you in the next one in a bit.